The rain-slicked streets of Chicago's Magnificent Mile gleamed under the sodium lamps like a promise broken too many times, and Elias Hawthorne stepped out of his town car with the quiet dignity of a man who'd buried more dreams than most men could count. His hand trembled, not from age, but from the fresh sting of a lover's ghost whispering through the wind. As he pushed open the glass doors of Elite Motors, the dealership's neon sign flickering like a bad omen. And then, in the sterile showroom hush, a salesman's voice cut through. "Look, Pops, we're closing early. Come back when you're serious about buying, not just window shopping your sunset years." Elias Hawthorne had always believed in second chances, the kind that came wrapped in the quiet rustle of Lake Michigan's waves against Navy Pier, or the forgiving hum of a jazz saxophone spilling from a corner bar in Wicker Park. At 72, he'd built an empire from nothing. A string of boutique hotels dotting the Midwest, each one a testament to the resilience he'd forged in the fire of a youth spent hiding who he was. Born in the shadow of the Great Depression's tail end, Elias had learned early that love, like money, was best kept in locked vaults. His first kiss, stolen behind a bleacher at a 1960s sock hop in Gary, Indiana, had ended with a black eye and a father's belt. By the time Stonewall riots lit up New York like a flare in the night, Elias was already in Chicago, nursing wounds that whiskey and work could numb but never erase. That evening, as the autumn chill bit through his cashmere overcoat, Elias wasn't chasing ghosts. He wanted a car, a sleek, midnight blue Tesla Model S, something electric and forward-looking to match the new chapter he imagined after selling his last hotel. Retirement, he'd decided over a solitary dinner of deep dish pizza at Lou Malnati's, meant reclaiming the roads he'd never dared travel with a partner by his side. No more hiding, just open highways, perhaps a road trip to the Grand Canyon, where the echoes of his own heartbeat might finally drown out the silence of decades alone. Elite Motors was the place. Nestled in the Gold Coast, it screamed old money with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers masquerading as showroom flair. Elias had researched it online, drawn by the promise of unparalleled service for discerning clients. He adjusted his cufflinks, silver, engraved with the initials of a man long gone, and stepped inside, the bell above the door chiming like a hesitant confession. The showroom was a cathedral of chrome and leather, cars posed like supermodels under spotlights. A handful of salesmen lounged by the coffee station, ties loosened, scrolling phones. Elias cleared his throat, his voice steady as the loops elevated trains. "Evening, gentlemen. I'm interested in the Tesla. The one with the panoramic roof." Heads turned slowly, like predators sizing up prey. The tallest one, a broad-shouldered guy in his 40s with a jaw like a Buick grill, name tag reading Brad, didn't even look up from his screen. "Tesla? We got M, but they're not for joyrides. You got financing lined up? Or is this a test drive fantasy?" Elias smiled, the kind that had closed deals worth millions. "Financing won't be necessary. Cash. Full price plus whatever upgrades catch my eye." A ripple of smirks. Another salesman, younger, with gelled hair and a cologne that punched like a southpaw, Tyler, his tag said, leaned in. "Cash. Huh? Cute. But we don't do walk-ins for the big toys. Appointment only. And honestly, sir, that model's a bit advanced for someone who looks like he remembers rotary phones." The laughter was low, communal, a pack sealing ranks. Elias felt it like gravel under tires, the casual dismissal, laced with the unspoken assumption that an old queer in a well-cut suit was just killing time before the nursing home. He'd faced worse. The AIDS crisis that claimed his closest friends in the 80s, the corporate boardrooms where he'd outmaneuvered bigots by being twice as sharp. But this was petty, the kind of small-town bigotry dressed in pinstripes, thriving even in progressive Chicago. He straightened, his eyes locking on a third salesman in the corner. Mid-30s, lean build, dark curls falling over wire-rimmed glasses. This one, Javier Ruiz according to the tag, hadn't joined the chorus. Instead, he set down his tablet and approached, voice soft but clear. "Mr. Hawthorne? I'm Javier. Let me show you the Model S. It's got autopilot that could make your commute feel like a dream." Brad snorted. "Javi, Don't waste your time. Guy's probably here for the free coffee. Javier shot him a look, sharp, protective, and guided Elias toward the car. Up close, the Tesla gleamed, its curves promising escape. Javier's hands moved with quiet competence, explaining regenerative braking and over-the-air updates like they were poetry. Elias watched him, noting the subtle rainbow sticker on the salesman's keychain, the easy warmth in his brown eyes. For a moment, the showroom faded, and it was just two men sharing a secret language of survival. "I like it," Elias said finally, sliding into the driver's seat. The leather hugged him like an old friend. "When can I take it home?" Javier hesitated, glancing back at the pack. "Tonight, if the paperwork clears. But Brad handles approvals." "I can." "Approvals?" Elias echoed, climbing out. "For cash." Before Javier could respond, Brad swaggered over, arms crossed. "Listen, Grandpa. We get dreamers in here all the time. Folks who talk big but bounce checks. You want the car? Make an appointment. Monday. And bring proof you're not some vagrant off the L." The word Grandpa landed like a slap, evoking memories of bar raids and whispered slurs. Elias's chest tightened, not with anger, but a profound, bone-deep weariness. He'd fought for equality, marched in the 90s Pride parades, donated anonymously to Lambda Legal, but here, in this gleaming tomb of American excess, the old hatreds lingered, polished to a high shine. "Fine," Elias said, voice even. He handed Javier his card, simple, embossed with Hawthorne Holdings. "Call me Monday. We'll see who's dreaming." As he turned to leave, Tyler called after him, "Don't forget your walker outside, Pops." The door swung shut behind Elias, the bell mocking him. Outside, the rain had picked up, drumming on his overcoat like accusations. He slipped into the town car, directing his driver, Marcus, a steadfast ally who'd known Elias's secrets since the 90s, to head home to his Lincoln Park brownstone. The city blurred past, the bean reflecting fractured lights, couples huddled under umbrellas, oblivious to the wars their elders had waged. That night, alone in his study lined with first editions of Baldwin and Capote, Elias poured a scotch neat like his regrets. The card Javier had slipped him during the tour burned in his pocket. "Sorry about them. Coffee sometime? J." A number scrawled below. Elias traced it, wondering if it was pity or possibility. He'd sworn off entanglements after Richard, his partner of 30 years, succumbed to cancer in 2018. "Live for us both," Richard had whispered from his hospice bed, eyes like faded denim, but living felt like trespassing on a life half-lived. By dawn, resolve hardened like Chicago concrete. He wasn't just buying a car. He was buying justice. A quick call to his attorney, and the wheels turned. Hawthorne Holdings had liquid assets that could swallow dealerships whole. Elite Motors, a subsidiary of a mid-tier auto group, ripe for acquisition. By noon, offers flew via encrypted email. By evening, the deal was in motion, contingent on one condition: full access to personnel files. Monday morning, Elias returned, not in the town car, but chauffeured in a black Escalade, suited in Armani, flanked by two stone-faced lawyers. The showroom buzzed with early birds, but Brad spotted him first, face paling under the fluorescence. "You again? Look, we set appointment." Elias raised a hand, silencing him. Javier emerged from the back, eyes widening in recognition, and something warmer, like dawn breaking over the lake. "Mr. Hawthorne, the paperwork for the Tesla." "Not just the Tesla," Elias said, voice carrying like a verdict. He nodded to his lead counsel, a sharp woman named Lena with a briefcase full of thunder. "Gentlemen, ladies of Elite Motors. As of 9:17 a.m. this morning, Hawthorne Holdings has acquired full ownership of this dealership and its parent chain. Effective immediately." Gasps rippled. Tyler dropped his phone. Brad sputtered. "What the? You can't just." "I can," Elias cut in. "And I have. For years, you've peddled dreams of the American road, freedom, mobility, the open horizon. But you've forgotten what that means for those you've deemed unworthy. The elderly. The outsiders. The ones who built this country while dodging your sneers. He paused, letting it sink in. Javier stood frozen, a mix of awe and concern etching his features. Elias met his gaze, a silent acknowledgement passing between them, the shared weight of being other in a land that preached equality but practiced exclusion. By end of day, Elias continued, each of you will receive severance, generous if you've earned it. But the culture here? It ends today. Brad, Tyler, clean out your desks. Your service is terminated. Brad lunged forward, face crimson. This is bullshit. You think you can waltz in here because we bruised your ego? You're just some washed-up faggot playing Monopoly with daddy's money. The slur hung, toxic as exhaust. The room stilled. Elias felt the old rage coil, but he breathed it out, remembering Richard's mantra. Grace is the sharpest blade. Still, the betrayal stung, not just Brad's but the system's, the casual erasure of lives like his. Security, Lena called calmly. 2 guards materialized, escorting Brad out amid his curses. Tyler followed, head down, muttering apologies that rang hollow. As the dust settled, Elias turned to Javier. You, my office. Now. Javier nodded, falling in step as they moved to the manager's glass-walled lair, now Elias's by proxy. The door clicked shut, sealing them in a bubble of tension and unspoken electricity. You're not firing me too? Javier asked, voice barely above a whisper. Elias leaned against the desk, studying him. Up close, Javier was even more striking. Olive skin, lashes like brushstrokes, a vulnerability that mirrored Elias's own at that age. No, you saw me. That's rarer than you know. Javier's cheeks flushed. I've been there. The looks, the whispers. My family's from Pilsen, old-school Mexican Catholic. Coming out was like declaring war. But you? Walking in here like you owned the place, even when they tried to break you. It's inspiring. Elias chuckled softly, the sound surprising him. Inspiring? I'm just an old hotelier with too much time and not enough sense. Or too much heart. Javier stepped closer, the rainbow keychain glinting. That coffee offer still stands, if you're not too busy revolutionizing the auto world. For the first time in years, Elias felt the pull, a gravitational shift toward another soul. Rain check. Dinner instead? Giordano's. Deep dish and deep talks. Javier's smile broke like sunlight. I'd like that. As Elias signed the acquisition papers, the city outside thrummed with possibility. But beneath the triumph, a shadow lingered. Firing them felt like justice, yet it echoed the isolation he'd fought so hard to escape. Was revenge just another cage? And Javier? Could this be the road Richard had urged him to take? Or another detour to heartache? Little did Elias know, the real storm was brewing not in boardrooms, but in the fragile bridge they were building, one where betrayal wore a familiar face. The weeks that followed blurred into a whirlwind of corporate chess, each move calculated to reshape Elite Motors from a den of entitlement into a beacon of inclusive excellence. Elias threw himself into it with the fervor of a man reclaiming stolen years, installing diversity training led by queer activists from Howard Brown, redesigning the showroom with murals of Chicago's LGBTQ+ landmarks, the original site of Sidetrack, the pulsing heart of Boys Town. Staff turnover was swift. He handpicked replacements from community colleges and job fairs in Uptown, prioritizing voices like Javier's, resilient, real, rooted in the city's mosaic. Javier became his unofficial guide, not just to the dealership's quirks, the finicky coffee machine that spat like an offended cat, but to the man Elias had buried under layers of loss. Their dinners stretched into late-night walks along the lakefront, where the water lapped at concrete barriers like confessions too timid to voice. Javier shared stories of his youth, sneaking into underground warehouse parties during the aughts, the terror of Don't Ask, Don't Tell ripping through his cousin's Marine unit, the quiet victory of his first Pride float on Halsted Street. I thought I'd never find someone who got it, he admitted one crisp October evening, their shoulders brushing under the shadow of the Tribune Tower. The exhaustion of always translating yourself. Elias nodded, the wind tugging at his scarf. It's like carrying a map to a country no one else can see. Richard, he was my compass. We met at a fundraiser for the AIDS Memorial Quilt in '92. He was this brash architect from Milwaukee, all blueprints and bravado. Said I looked like I needed saving from my own seriousness. Pause heavy as fog. He saved me, all right. Taught me that love isn't a transaction. But when he died, it was like the map burned. Javier stopped, turning to face him. The city lights danced in his eyes, turning them to amber. You're still navigating, Elias. And damn if you don't make it look poetic. Their first kiss happened unscripted, under a canopy of turning leaves in Grant Park, the distant roar of a Bears game fading like applause. It was tentative at first, Elias's lips brushing Javier's with the caution of a man who'd learned to brace for backlash. Then deepening, hungry, as if the decades between them dissolved in the salt of shared tears. Javier's hands framed Elias's face, thumbs tracing the lines etched by time, whispering, "You're not alone anymore." For Elias, it was resurrection. Mornings at the dealership took on new rhythm. Javier demoing cars with infectious zeal, Elias overseeing from his corner office, stealing glances that sparked like faulty wiring. Whispers spread. Some staff grumbled about the Silver Fox takeover, but most embraced the shift. Sales ticked up. Word got out about the Hawthorne welcome, where no client was dismissed, no story unheard. Elias even hosted a mixer for local queer nonprofits, toasting with Malort shots that burned like truth. But beneath the glow, fissures formed. Brad and Tyler hadn't vanished quietly. From their new gigs at a rival lot in Schaumburg, they nursed grudges like open wounds, venting on anonymous forums and, worse, to a journalist at the Sun-Times sniffing for scandal. Bought out by some bitter old queen, Brad posted under a pseudonym, the words twisting Elias's justice into caricature. It stung, but Elias brushed it off, until the call came from Lena, his attorney, voice tight as a hangnail. "Elias, we've got a problem. One of your new hires, Javier's assistant, Marco, he's been feeding info to the competition. Pricing strategies, client lists. Looks like he's on their payroll." Elias's stomach dropped, the office spinning. Marco, a bright kid from Logan Square, barely 25, with a fade haircut and dreams of climbing the ladder. Elias had mentored him personally, sharing war stories over empanadas from a food truck. Betrayal tasted like bile. "Get me proof," he said, hanging up before the tremor in his voice betrayed him. That afternoon, he confronted Marco in the break room, the air thick with the scent of burnt popcorn. "Why?" Elias demanded, the word raw. "I gave you a shot. A real one." Marco's eyes darted, sweat beading on his brow. "It's not personal, Mr. H. They offered double bills piling up, mom's meds. Javier said you were tough but fair. I thought you'd understand." "Understand?" Elias's laugh was hollow, echoing off the lockers. "Fairness isn't a ledger, Marco. It's trust. You just torched mine." Firing him was mercy, severance, and a reference, minus the theft charges Lena threatened. But the damage lingered, a crack in the foundation. Elias retreated to his brownstone that night, the empty rooms mocking him with their silence. Javier arrived unannounced, bearing takeout from Manny's Deli. Pastrami on rye, thick as unresolved grief. "You look like you wrestled the L train and lost," Javier teased, setting the bag down. But his humor faded at Elias's expression. "Talk to me." Over corned beef and confessions, Elias spilled it, the leak, the loss of faith. Javier listened, hands steady on his knee, an anchor in the storm. "It's not you, Elias. People get scared. Power shifts and they claw back. But you're building something real here. Don't let one snake poison the garden." Elias searched his face, seeking the lie, the motive. Javier had access to everything, schedules, secrets. Was this betrayal's prelude? "And you? What's your angle, Javi? A promotion? A story for your friends about taming the tycoon?" The words landed like slaps, Javier recoiling as if burned. "Angle? Christ, Elias. I thought this was." He trailed off, hurt etching deep lines. "Forget it. If you can't see past the suits and the spreadsheets, maybe I don't belong here. He stood, coat in hand, the door slamming like a guillotine. Elias sank into the couch, the pastrami congealing untouched. Alone again, the weight pressed. Love as liability, empire as illusion. Outside, a siren wailed, Chicago's eternal underscore to fragile hopes. The next day dawned gray, the dealership a hive of hushed speculation. Elias powered through meetings, his smiles mechanical, until a courier delivered a manila envelope. Anonymous, postmarked from Schaumburg. Inside, printouts of Javier's texts to Marco, timestamps damning. Keep it quiet. Elias can't know about the side deal with Brad. It's just consulting. Extra cash for us both. Elias's world tilted. Betrayal doubled. Javier, the one who'd seen him, touched him, promised more. Colluding with the enemy? The texts blurred through hot tears, the first in years. He stormed the showroom, Javier mid-sale with a young couple eyeing a hybrid SUV. Office. Now. Elias barked, voice thunder. Javier paled but followed, the door locking with a decisive snick. What's wrong? You look. Save it. Elias slapped the printouts down. Consulting? With Brad? After everything. Javier scanned them, face draining of color. Elias, no, this is twisted. Marco must've. Twisted? Like your loyalty. Elias's voice cracked, the elder's armor fracturing. I let you in. My home, my heart. And you play me like one of your demos. It's not what it looks like. Javier pleaded, stepping close. Brad cornered me weeks ago. Threats, blackmail. Said he'd out me to my family if I didn't feed him scraps. Useless stuff, nothing that hurt you. I was protecting us, protecting this. Elias recoiled, the air electric with doubt. Protecting? We're hedging bets. You're half my age, Javi. What if this? He gestured wildly, encompassing the empire, the fragile us, is just a phase, a story till the next shiny thing. Hurt flashed in Javier's eyes, raw as an open wound. A phase? I've spent my life phases, closeted, outed, sidelined. You think I'd risk that for pocket change? For Brad's bullshit? He closed the gap, hands gripping Elias's arms. I love you, you stubborn bastard. Not the hotels or the headlines. You. The man who walked in here broken and built a revolution anyway. The words hung, a lifeline or a noose. Elias searched those eyes, finding no deception, only the mirror of his own terror. But trust, once shattered, didn't mend with pleas. Prove it, he whispered, voice breaking. Walk away from here. From me. If it's real, it'll find its way back. Javier's grip tightened, then released, the ghost of touch lingering. If that's what you need. But don't expect me to wait forever. He turned, shoulders squared against the inevitable, the door clicking shut like a final heartbeat. Elias collapsed into his chair, the printouts crumpling in his fist. Outside, Chicago churned on. L trains rattling, vendors hawking chestnuts. But inside, winter had come early. The climax loomed, not in boardrooms, but in the chasm he'd carved with his own suspicions. Could he rebuild? Or would this be the betrayal that finally broke him? November cloaked Chicago in steel grays, the wind off the lake whipping like accusations Elias couldn't outrun. The dealership hummed under his distant command. Sales soaring, reviews glowing with tales of transformative service. But victory tasted like ash. Javier's absence was a void, his desk reassigned to a no-nonsense vet from Englewood named Darius, who quoted Audre Lorde in staff meetings and blasted Nina Simone during lunch. Elias admired him, even envied the ease of his out and proud stride, but it only sharpened the ache. Nights blurred into rituals of regret. Scotch by the fireplace, Richard's photo watching from the mantel, its smile a gentle rebuke. The scandal broke mid-month. A Sun-Times exposé splashed across page 3. Revenge buyout. How one man's grudge gutted a Gold Coast icon. Penned by a hack named Harlan Voss, it painted Elias as a vengeful relic, quoting anonymous sources. Brad, no doubt, on the homosexual agenda infiltrating autos. Protests flickered outside, picket signs decrying corporate wokeness. A few slurs scrawled on eggshells lobbed at the windows. Elias watched from his office, Lena at his side, drafting countersuits like arrows. "It's defamation gold," she said, pecking at her tablet. "We sue, they fold." But Elias waved her off, gaze fixed on the chaos. "No, let it burn. Truth has a way of cauterizing wounds." Privately, Doubt gnawed. Was this his fault? Pushing Javier away, armoring himself against hurt only to invite a different blade? He'd replayed their last moments endlessly. The desperation in Javier's voice, the warmth of his hands. What if the texts were fabricated? A desperate ploy by Brad to reclaim turf. A late-night scroll through Javier's muted socials revealed nothing. A repost of a human rights campaign fundraiser. A selfie at a Jewelosco with "missing the miles" captioned cryptically. Elias's thumb hovered over the call button, then retreated. Pride, that old sentinel, stood guard. The turning point came unbidden. A Tuesday tempest that flooded the underpass and stranded commuters. Elias, en route to a zoning meeting for a new queer youth center in Uptown, detoured past Elite Motors. Rain lashed the windshield, Marcus cursing the wipers, when Elias spotted him. Javier, soaked to the bone, hustling umbrellas to flustered clients under the porte-cochere. No, not at Elite, across the street, at the Schaumburg transplant. Apex Autos, Brad's new haunt. Javier, in an unfamiliar vest, flashing that disarming grin. Betrayal crystallized, sharp as ice. "Pull over," Elias rasped. He stepped into the downpour, coat billowing like a cape of fury, marching across the median. Horns blared, but he was deaf to them. Vision tunneled on Javier's startled face. "You?" Elias thundered, water streaming down his temples. "Working for him? After everything?" Javier dropped the umbrella, color draining. Clients gawked. Brad emerged from the shadows, smirking like a hyena. "Hawthorne, slumming it? Javi, here's our top closer now. Guess loyalty's flexible." "Shut up, Brad," Javier snapped, grabbing Elias's arm, dragging him under the awning. "This isn't." "Isn't what?" "Your consulting gig." Elias yanked free, voice rising over the gale. "I trusted you, loved you, and you run to the man who spat on me." Tears mixed with rain on Javier's cheeks. "It's a cover, Elias, undercover for you. I went to Lena after you kicked me out. Said I'd infiltrate, get proof on Brad's smear campaign. The texts, fakes he planted to bait you. I was gathering evidence, recordings, emails. To bury him." Elias staggered, the world tilting. "Lena? She never. Because I asked her not to. Thought you'd see through it. Trust me enough to wait." Javier's voice broke, hands fisting Elias's lapels. "But you didn't. You pushed and I had to improvise. God, Elias, I did it for us. For the life you deserve, free of shadows." Brad's laugh cut in, oily, touching. "But Javi's contract's ironclad. Non-compete? Nah. He signed with us weeks ago. Real loyalty costs, old man." The pieces snapped. Marco's leak, the texts, Javier's phase. All threads in Brad's web, spun to isolate and destroy. Rage surged, not at Javier, but at the machinery of malice that preyed on the vulnerable. Elias rounded on Brad, the elder's frame belying the steel within. "You think this ends you? I've crushed bigger serpents." He pulled his phone, dialing Lena on speaker. "The proof, Javier's got it?" Her voice crackled through the storm. "Upload incoming. It's airtight, extortion, libel, the works. We're filing at dawn." Brad's smirk faltered. "You can't." "I can." Elias echoed his own words from weeks prior. "And I will. But this." He turned to Javier, the rain a baptism. "This I fix now." In the cab back to Lincoln Park, Javier beside him, the silence was thick but healing. "I'm sorry," Elias murmured, hand finding Javier's. "For doubting. For building walls when you offered bridges." Javier leaned in, forehead to temple. "We both scarred, amor. But scars make better stories. That night, They talked till the storm broke, unpacking fears, weaving plans. Javier would return to elite, promoted to GM, their partnership open, unapologetic. The expose? Countered with oppressor. Elias's full story, from Gary Boy to Chicago Kingpin, a narrative of perseverance that trended nationwide, Hawthorne Rising lighting up X and TikTok. But climax wasn't conquest. It was vulnerability's forge. Days later, at a quiet dinner in Andersonville, candlelit pasta at a spot called the Bistro, Elias slid a key across the table. Not to a car, but his brownstone. "Move in," he said simply. "Build with me." Javier's eyes shimmered. "Thought you'd never ask." Their lovemaking that night was a revelation. Slow, reverent, bodies mapping histories in whispers and sighs. No rush, no conquest. Just two souls aligning, the city's pulse syncing with theirs. Elias woke to Javier's curls tickling his chest, sunlight slanting through blinds like benediction. For the first time, future felt like home. Yet, as winter deepened, a new conflict stirred. Not external, but internal. Elias's doctor called mid-December, voice measured, PSA levels elevated again. Biopsy recommended. Could be nothing. Or prostate. The word cancer echoed Richard's ghost. A specter Elias had buried deep. He didn't tell Javier. Not yet, fear's old habit, shielding love from loss. But cracks show. Distracted at meetings, nights staring at ceilings while Javier slept. The dealership thrived, but Elias withdrew, ghosts crowding closer. Christmas Eve, snow blanketing the magnificent mile like forgiveness. Javier cornered him in the study. "You're fading on me. Talk." Elias's resolve crumbled, the diagnosis spilling like wine on white linen. Javier held him through the sobs, fierce as Lake Superior gales. "We'll fight it, together, like everything else." The biopsy confirmed, early stage, treatable. But the real battle was Elias's, to accept help, to let Javier carry weight. Chemo began in January, a gauntlet of nausea and needles. Javier at every infusion, reading aloud from Giovanni's room, till Elias drifted to safer shores. Through it, their bond deepened, romance tempered in fire, humanistic in its raw humanity. Elias mentored queer youth at the center, sharing not just wealth but wisdom. Love isn't absence of betrayal, it's choosing return. Brad's empire crumbled under lawsuits, a cautionary tweet storm his epitaph. Spring bloomed, cherry trees along Michigan Avenue a pink promise. Elias, hair silvering thinner but spirit unbroken, drove the Tesla, Javier shotgun, to the Grand Canyon, roads unspooling like unwritten chapters. At the rim, sunset painting rock eternal, Elias turned. "You saved me, Javi. Not from the dealership. From myself." Javier smiled, hand in hand. "We saved each other. That's the American dream, messy, mine, ours." Summer unfurled over Chicago like a banner of hard-won peace. The air thick with grilled sausages from corner stands and the laughter of pride parades echoing down Halsted. Elias emerged from treatment gaunt but glowing, the chemo's toll etched in quieter laughs and a newfound relish for simple joys. Morning jogs in Jackson Park with Javier, their breaths sinking like old lovers. Lazy Sundays at the Green Mill, swaying to Coltrane vinyls while the city sweated outside. The brownstone, once a mausoleum of memories, pulsed with life. Javier's art books stacked beside Richard's photos, a harmonious collage of past and present. Elite Motors had evolved into something mythic. The inclusive mile, clients raving about staff who listened, really listened, turning purchases into partnerships. Elias stepped back, delegating to Javier and Darius, content to advise from afar. His focus shifted to legacy. The youth center expanded into a full community hub, offering job training, counseling, even a coming out on the open road program with subsidized driving lessons for queer teens. "No one gets left curbside," he told the board, voice steady, eyes alight. Yet, the humanistic heart of it all was the quiet reckonings. Brad, stripped of license and pride, reached out via a halting email. Apology laced with accountability, no excuses. Elias met him at a neutral diner in Bridgeport, over weak coffee and pie that stuck in his throat. I was scared, Brad admitted, face weathered, the bully's bluster gone. Of change. Of you, reminding me of parts one buried young. Hurt people hurt. Cliché, but true. Elias nodded, no absolution easy, but forgiveness a choice. Hurt doesn't license cruelty. But growth? That's redemption's currency. Get help, Brad. For real. They parted not friends, but with a fragile truce, Elias anonymously funding the man's entry into therapy. A seed planted in cracked soil. Tyler fared differently. Genuine remorse led to reinstatement at Elite, under probation, his arc a testament to second chances. You didn't have to, he said on his first day back, voice thick. I almost didn't, Elias replied. But humanity's not zero-sum. Javier watched these exchanges with quiet pride. His role as partner a steady flame. Their love, once tentative, now rooted deep. Arguments over trivialities like thermostat wars or Javier's penchant for late-night tacos, resolved in laughter and make-up dances in the kitchen. Intimacy wove through days. Stolen kisses in the Tesla's front seat after test drives. Whispered vulnerabilities under starless city skies. Elias marveled at Javier's patience. The way he coaxed stories from Elias's guarded heart. Tales of clandestine 70s baths in Boys Town. The thrill of first legal weddings post-Obergefell. One August evening, as fireflies danced over the Lincoln Park lagoon, Javier proposed, not with fanfare, but a simple silver band engraved with coordinates. Their first kiss under the bean. We're already hitched in the ways that count, he said, kneeling on the dew-kissed grass. But legally, let's make it official. Build the rest of our miles together. Elias pulled him up, tears salting the yes. Every damn one. Their wedding was quintessentially Chicago. A rooftop affair at the Roby house. Wright's geometry framing vows exchanged against a skyline ablaze. Guests spanned worlds. Queer elders from the center, Darius DJing house tracks, Lena toasting with Malort shots. Richard's sister, a holdout from the past, attended, her hug a bridge long awaited. He'd be proud, she whispered, and Elias believed it. The honeymoon was a loop. Gary to the Badlands, detours through diners serving pie like prophecy. In a motel off Route 66, neon buzzing outside, they made love with the abandon of survivors. Bodies a language of survival, souls entwined in quiet afterglow. This is the plot twist I never saw coming, Elias murmured, tracing Javier's spine. Javier chuckled. Best ones never do. Back home, fall painted the city in ambers and reds, a mirror to their deepening bond. Elias's health held, quarterly scans clean as fresh snow. He penned a memoir, Curbside No More. Proceeds funding scholarships. Its pages a love letter to resilience. Romance's quiet thunder. Javier illustrated the cover. Two silhouettes on an endless highway, hands linked over the gearshift. Conflict lingered in subtler forms. The world's grind. A trans kid at the center facing eviction. A board member balking at radical inclusivity. But together, they navigated. Javier's fire tempering Elias's measured grace. Their union a model for the youth who looked to them like lighthouses. One night, after a heated debate resolved over Lakeshore Drive walks, Elias reflected aloud. Betrayal taught me caution, but you taught me courage. Javier squeezed his hand. And you showed me home isn't a place, it's people. As winter's hush returned, they hosted Richard's memorial redo. A lantern release over the lake, paper boats bobbing with messages of thanks. Elias's boat read, for the compass, for the road ahead. Javier's, for loving first. In the end, the story wasn't revenge's blaze, but redemption's slow burn. A humanistic tapestry where pain wove into purpose, love the thread holding fast. Elias Hawthorne, once ignored, now icon, drove into sunsets not alone, but arm in arm with the man who'd turned dismissal to destiny. Chicago, that gritty heartland siren, cradled them. Dramatic, suspenseful, eternally romantic. And in the quiet miles between, they found not just survival, but the profound grace of being seen.